Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I am going to be talking about all the negative aspects of my gap year travels, and I'm just kind of going to be honest and hopefully not too exposing, but I'm just gonna kind of say it how it is because there were a lot of negative things that happened on my gap year trip, and I don't think that they should go unsaid or unnoticed. Basically, before we left, there were a lot of Zoom meetings in preparation, and there was something called the Rules of the Road, which was an agreement that we all signed to saying that we wouldn't break these rules, and there were a lot of specific rules. However, I feel that none of them were enforced. There were multiple instances where the EF staff even knew about rules that had been broken, and there was no accountability and there was no punishment or further action. So I feel that there was sort of a double standard in all of the preparation, and they almost created a little bit of fear at the beginning because people really didn't want to be sent home, and they told us that every single trip there's one person that's sent home and don't let that be you. But then as soon as we were abroad, they did not do anything, and there were thousands of warnings towards people. One of the first things that happened on our first night in Iceland is the minimum drinking age in Iceland is 20 years old. And because there were people 18 and up on our trip, while they could drink in the rest of Europe, they immediately on the first night broke the rules. And there was even a student that paid the bouncers to let these underage students in, and he paid a large sum of money so that all these girls could get in. So that was literally on the first night of Iceland. Overall, I think that a lot of the ads for this program are misinformed. It looks so educational, and that's what I was expecting, for it to be called the Pathfinder program and to be focused on all these different educational realms, but it ended up just being like a party trip, and that was kind of disappointing. I still made the most of my experiences. There were a couple instances in multiple countries where students on my trip found other people that were locals and brought them into our hotel rooms, and these people that were not associated with our trip stayed in our hotel rooms for multiple nights in an inappropriate setting. This was even brought up. I brought this up anonymously to EF, and they said that that is not acceptable. If this is really happening, then there needs to be punishment. Yet there was no punishment. While it was legal for all of us students, once we were out of Iceland, to drink and smoke, they would be smoking on our coach bus and vaping on our coach bus, which was initially not allowed, but then there stopped being any warnings or anything. So basically our coach bus just constantly smelled like smoke and vape flavors, which was just, I think, disrespectful not only to the bus driver, but also another instance of disrespect. There would be constantly trash left all over. Like, people just did not have any sense of respect and their own property. This rudeness also carried on towards our tour guides and the housekeepers of the hotels, and people, we would be having a walking tour and people would leave or be talking or just not be showing respect to the staff member that was trying to educate us. There was an instance where I saw the instructor of our partner group teaching his students how to roll a cigarette, and I just thought it was kind of inappropriate for the instructor to be not necessarily pushing like drugs on students, but showing them how to smoke and like to roll their own cigarettes. There was also an instance on the night of Halloween when we were in Milan where all of the instructors dressed up, all of us dressed up pretty much, but the instructors came to dinner very either drunk or on some sort of drug where they were not themselves at all. And there was a student that fell into the train tracks in the subway station to retrieve his phone, and he was laying face down in the subway tracks, like in the station, and like people were screaming. That was crazy. And the instructors was just so out of it. Also, one of our instructors dressed up as like a zombie with scissors and was cutting people's hair. There was quite a leniency in missing activities. Before we left for the trip, in the rules of the road, it was made clear that you were not allowed to miss activities for being hungover, and you had to have a valid reason if you were sick. However, there were so many students who just did not show up to countless activities because they had gone out the night before, and no one ever looked into this. Even in the last couple of days, basically no one was at the activities except for me and a couple of other people, and I overheard the instructors saying it doesn't really matter at this point, like people are gonna do what they want to do. So I could really go on and on, but I'm gonna wrap this video up. The last complaint that I have is all of our hostels and accommodations were in very unsafe areas of the city. For example, we stayed in this outskirt of London called Cricklewood, and not only was it a long walk to the tube station, it was a really unsafe walk. And outside of our hotel at night, there were constantly like fires and like people lighting flares, and it was just, there were fights outside of our hotel, and we just had to stay in our hotel because it was very unsafe. And this was also a consistent pattern in Italy and even in Paris. I just think that the location of the hostels were unsafe. Not only that, the hostels themselves were unsafe. There were robberies within the hostels and bed bugs, of course. So that is my video for all the complaints I have for my gap semester trip, and thanks for watching this video. Bye.